Welcome to another episode of Make Mental Health Matter, where I bring on guests on Wednesdays. Normally, it is our Warrior Wednesday, and I bring on guests who have stories, their journey, whatever they have been through in this thing that we call life, and really into that place of hope. I have a unique topic there guest tonight. If you watched on Monday, you would know what I'm talking about. If you didn't, then you'll catch up. But if you happen to be watching this for the very first time and you're watching from YouTube, make sure you hit down that subscribe button. If you're on any of the TV streaming platforms, make sure you add us into your wish list, your watch list, your want to watch later list, whatever you happen to call it, so that you don't miss another episode. Because I promise you, every single guest that I've had on has just been incredible. And I know I say that every single time, but they are, and they're amazing. And I am super excited again to have some of the women that I will be sharing the stage coming up this Sunday for TEDxCherry Creek Women. So without further ado, I am going to bring up Crystal and Michelle. Thank you both for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. So I am super excited to be able to bring on a few of you. We have 18 or 19 total presenters that will be on the TEDx stage on Sunday, this Sunday, November 5th in Denver, Colorado. And Michelle and Crystal are one of those speakers. So I would love for whomever wants to start just to kind of share a little bit about yourself, your story, and kind of what led you to want to be on the TEDx stage.
Yeah, I'll start off.
Yeah.
So, hi everyone. I am Michelle Adams, and by profession, I'm an attorney. I am also a speaker. I'm an author. I hope I can do a shameless plug, Kelli, at some point. Okay, because here it is. And it was actually in the process of writing this book, so I did it very quickly. The book is called Family Strong, 7 Gifts for a Lasting Legacy. And, doing the work that I do, you hear a lot mentioned about the term legacy, and everyone's like, I want to leave a legacy. And oftentimes it's only focused on the money part of it. And when I wrote this book, I wanted to change that dynamic and that narrative to say, listen, we are more than just about our stuff. We really need to focus on some of those intangible gifts that we also bring to the table. I'm more than an attorney. I'm a mom and a wife and all those things, but I have so many other pieces to me. And so what the book talks about and what my talk will talk about are some of those other intangible pieces that everyone, mom, dads, aunts, uncles, grandparents, whomever, aunties, uncles, they can bring to the table to really help shape that conversation of what true family legacy is all about.
That's awesome. And I love that you just said that most people, when you think about a legacy, you think about the financial or the monetary portion. And I mean, being in a nonprofit, I've had to think of it on a lot of different levels, but really it's bringing the legacy as a whole. It's just not the monetary part. So yes, that's what I love about what you'll be speaking about on stage and what you do, in your real life.
That other side of me. Yes, yes. And just very quickly, because when in speaking or in thinking about your organization, your nonprofit that you started, that's legacy as well, because doing that in honor of your sister and others who are dealing with, needing the support, wanting the support. This is at the end of your life, people will say, wow, Kelli did that. A lot of people give talk to it, but not a lot of people actually walk through it and do the thing that has been placed on them to do. So, if you haven't heard it already, this is part of your legacy.
Oh, yes. Yes. And I very much take that in too, this is the legacy that I will be passing on to whomever happens to be around at that point. So yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And then Crystal, did you want to chime in?
Yeah. My name is Crystal Kim. Thanks for having me again. I'm very thrilled to be with wonderful ladies and on this show. My topic for the TEDx is the hidden process to revolutionizing language education. So I am from Korea. I've been living in the United States for the last 27 years. So I came here as a college student, and I thought I was gonna conquer the world and, be a professional, successful woman. But what ended up happening was just being a housewife, not really happy. And my ex-spouse was a doctor at the, UC San Francisco. So I was very, very my life felt really unfulfilled. But my journey really took me to a complete different um, life, and I became a international patented writer.
Mhm.
And I now I'm a radio show speaker in Dallas, serving Korean American, I'm sorry, Korean American community. So I'm just talking about my struggles as a foreigner. And people normally think that, if you want to learn English, just, come to America, live here, immerse yourself, learn the language naturally. But what I found is that that's not really what happened. So I really want to dismantle the misconceptions first before I give any solutions first. And what does it really mean by natural? For you, what natural is really, we don't really have the concept. So I'm a language expert. So I not only focus on the target language, which is English, I only talk about the misunderstandings and the concept that native speakers don't know what Asian people, who constitute 1/3 of the world's population, don't know. So there's this, all this very complex levels of learning and understanding. But I just, there's a lot to do to bring, a change. But there's, I got to do something about it. It's not just only English, there's all the second language education has to really go through dramatic transformation, especially now we are dealing with AI and everything. I don't want any Asian learners to be blamed like, hey, we made you all this stuff. How come you guys are not learning anything, effectively? So I just really want to get rid of all that, misunderstanding. So since I'm your show about the mental health, I do really want to talk about the emotional, mental, physical health impacted by the inabilities to communicate proficiently. Although, despite the highly advanced knowledges that Asian people have, it's really not healthy, because I've been through it.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk a little bit more about that too, but I think that that is a wonderful point. And I know that as we have gone through this training, you have brought up a lot how your brain like is translating from your native language to English, and how, I mean, those of us that are fluent have always been speaking English. We don't think about it, of course, about, well, I guess sometimes because we're like, what is that word? Right. But I think we all do that in any language that we speak. But really understanding and hearing your perspective going through the trainings that we have been really interesting for me to listen and learn and understand. And I know if I went into another country and I tried to speak another language, I would have to do the same thing. And so I think those of us that have been speaking English, which is, I don't want to say the preferred language, but oftentimes that's what people say, especially in America, right? Is that it's the preferred language, and that people should just start talking English, and like it's like this easy thing that we should just do, right?
Right.
So yeah, I love that you are bringing that to the forefront and really having these conversations. And now you're going to be doing it on the TEDx stage too.
Right. So, I mean, talking about like legacy, the reason I am on a TEDx stage is that my father passed away 2 years ago suddenly from a heart attack. So I used to work for him. He founded a company, English education. So he would tell people, literally, I was really close to my dad. We've been talking like every day, 25 years. Like he knows what I ate, who I talked to at the gym, everything. And then just he dropped dead one day.
Mhm.
So um but I used to tell him, Dad, someday I will be on a TEDx or TED stage. He goes, oh, of course you will. And then like I know that he will be with me. But he used to tell people like, look, the English education separated me from my beloved daughter. So for me, this is very personal matters. And I, in a way, I wrote the, books, and I designed the program to a student, like almost like to myself when I was 18. I wish I had this program. I wish I had somebody gave me like, insightful guidance. But so this is really personal to me, like anybody who goes on a TEDx stage with their talk or their topic. It's just very personal. But like I mean, I was telling someone like, I could die even right after the talk, because like I kept my promise, to my dad, like, Dad, do you see me? So I'm just thrilled, and I'm just ready for the next chapter and continue with my dad's legacy.
That's amazing. And I love that. I mean, I feel like so many of the women that are on the stage this year, like all of our stories kind of keep molding, I guess, into each other, or melting into each other. I guess that's a better word. And I know we were talking on Monday. I had Lisa, one of the other Michelles.
The many Michelles, yeah.
We have 3 Michelles this year. So and also Mary. And we were really talking about how even because we go through multiple trainings, and during the trainings, we're kind of like picking up these pieces from each other. And it's really cool how it has come together. I don't know if you guys are at the point that you're like, I'm feeling like it's coming together, or if you're still kind of having these feelings of like, I don't know what the heck is going to come out of my mouth on Sunday.
For me, I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah. Right now, I'm like, I don't even know what I'm saying either, because it's not my first language. I'm like,
yeah. And the beautiful thing is, and so many people have said it, the message that needs to be delivered at that moment, that is the message that's going to be delivered. And I think, Crystal, you said this too in one of our chats, that we get so caught up in our head, and we want everything to be perfect and all that. It's not about us. It's about the message that's going to impact somebody else. And I think that really helps to ground me, to say, girl, this is not about you. I mean, yes, you can get cute and do all the things, but your message,
we are the vessel. We are here to serve the people.
That's right.
We almost died to be here. For me, I almost died to be here. My dad passed away for his own legacy. So I'm promoting my message to the people. So we are just the vessel. And, we are not being perfect, but we know our message more than anybody. So I'm going to maybe make mistake here and there, but so what? I know more than anybody else about my message. So it's same thing to you guys, right?
That's 1,000%. Yes.
Right.
And to stop focusing on perfection and just make it about the message that needs to get out there. Yeah.
And I mean, like, how cool would that be to take the translation of what we do on the TEDx stage and into life? I mean, like, if you think about that, because, and I know this is something that I've been working on, is releasing, well, I guess it hasn't been perfection for me. I'm usually like all over the place. So I'm like, whatever. But it's like we hold ourselves to another standard. And I know when we all really came into that first training, we're like, what in the heck? Like, you want me to write for like 2 minutes, and then you want me to talk and do a speech that I have no idea what I'm talking about?
It's like, still, well, the part for me that was even more of a challenge, backing it all the way up, was that at first I thought it was a 30-second video that you had to do to, as your introduction and application process. And I'm like, oh my gosh, 30 seconds. And I must have done this about, I don't know how many times, because it was never 30. And then I realized after the fact, it was 40 seconds. I'm like, oh man, I could have had 10 extra seconds to, but where I'm going with this is that it reminds you that, of course, we all love to talk, and we could keep going for 20, 30, an hour, but the brevity of having to kind of drill it down to the essence of what your message is, I think that's a wonderful task for anybody to do, because one, we know that people's attention spans have gotten shorter and shorter, so there's that part. But there's something about being able to take a message and just drill it down to the core, the essence of what it is. And whatever those points are, Crystal's 3-4 points, Kelli, your 4 or 5 points, my 2-3 points, whatever it is, that's the thing that someone's going to take away and then be able to make that change that you talked about within their own lives. So I think that's exciting. And I'll just say this about Crystal's piece, because as you were talking, one of the things that keeps coming back to me is, yes, we take it for granted, the fact that this language just rolls off our tongue. But then when I am in places where someone is speaking a different language and I feel completely like a fish out of water, I get that, where I do Duolingo, or I was doing it. And my Spanish, I was learning Spanish, sounds like a 2-year-old, you know? I'm thinking, so this is probably how other people feel as they're trying to communicate. It's like, I know I'm intelligent, but I'm just not yet so intelligent in this other language.
Oh, yeah, I mean, like, people say, what's wrong with you? Your English is so good. Yeah, maybe my speaking skills may be good, but I was a history major. I had to write every day. So reading was fine. Just writing, it's like, I close the book and then I just can't reproduce. And I'm like, I thought if I keep reading and reading, that would come to me naturally. No way. Like, how do you even like combine the words make and friends? You know, you might, I found that, you know, concept like, you make friends. I mean, we establish a relationship. You don't make friends. You don't make a person to become your friend. You know what I mean? So when you actually think about it, like, it's just not the translating it. It's just like Korean people will describe the birds is crying. We don't say singing. So just the way they describe is very different, you know? And just sometimes just the way you guys combine the words, like, how do you combine that like that? And then you guys have so many different adjectives and adverbs, and like, doesn't make any sense. But then I tell my listeners on my radio show, like, you know, you think about it, Korean is more difficult, you know, very difficult. It's really, really difficult. So, you know, so just think about Americans who try to learn English, I mean, Korean. So it's not like English is the most difficult language. It's actually not. So, I mean, it's just too different. You know, there's no like, one way to apply it or another. It's just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, so for that, I mean, you don't learn anything naturally. I say, you know, 4-year-olds kids spend so much time up until like 4-year-old, you know, and they don't memorize it, you know, they understand the basic concept and then they apply to it. Yeah. But for some reason, when it comes to learning a new language, like, people somehow like become very primitive. Oh, learn it naturally. No way. You know, people, you know, analyze the data of cancer patients to other cancer patients, you know, they have all this, you know, algorithms and everything. And now like somehow we are supposed to memorize the sounds of English sentences. Like, no. That's not how it works. Yeah.
Well, and I think it's definitely another, as you were talking, another thing that I've been thinking about often too is like the meaning that we put behind certain words, right? I mean, I have an 8-year-old and where he's learning words, more vocabulary. And when he's like, well, what does that mean? And I'm like, do I even know what that means? Right? Like,
that's when you say, look it up. Look it up. I'm not going to tell you everything. Look it up.
Yeah, I'm like, there's this really cool thing called Google that you can.
That's right.
Right. But it is like, I've been thinking about like the meaning behind things, right? Like, we had at some point somebody create a word and gave it meaning, right? Or there was this item and we gave it a word that made it have a meaning. And so it's just, that just is what popped into my head. I was like, I think about those things all the time. And I've had quite a few guests on here that have changed my perspective as far as being in the holistic space. And I had one friend recently who she calls what were like our human body, your meat suit. And so there's lots of different ways to like experience this life. So
I think what's really frustrating is, though, I had to feel like self-hatred in a sense of inadequacy. Frustration is just the minimum. I mean, like, I really hated my life and myself, because I keep saying, you know, I didn't come to this country to be away from my parents, and then having a kid, I mean, having a kid is a wonderful thing, but like, I didn't just come to this country to become a mom. And then being a housewife, I see all this brilliant, medical students and doctors doing some important things and helping other people. What am I doing? I'm not even, I mean, my writing skills are pathetic, So like, it was like, I had to see a therapist, and like, what I wanted to be a writer, and my writing is pathetic. What am I doing? It was like vicious cycle, So it was really mentally, physically affecting me, and it was really took a toll on my relationship with everybody, my son and everybody. And yeah, I can say anything with surface level. Oh, what did you do? Whatever. But I wanted to express myself on a higher level, eloquently. When I hear someone, talking this and that, I'm like, I understand everything. But then when I open my mouth, oh my God, I sound like 5-year-old. I don't know. But it's not that I want to sound smart, but like, I comprehend all this, complicated concepts. But then like, I want to be part of it, but then I just listen, and then writing it is just really frustrating. But it was really impacting me for a long time. And all the foreign students or immigrants, they really internalize this self-hatred, and then they think it's their fault. Oh, we are not smart. And that's really, it's really, devastating. It's just, not healthy.
I think that's something a lot of people face. And for myself and for those that, present something along the lines of what you're saying, is that we have to give ourselves grace. We're all doing the very best that we can in any given moment. And we know that we are the hardest on ourselves. And I know that if your best friend came to you and said all of these things, you would say, are you kidding me? You're brilliant. You're smart. You're totally, educated, and your communication skills are great, and all those different things. But it's something about, we get joy, not joy, but there's something about us beating our own selves up. We feel like, oh, I'm the worst. I'm the this, I'm the that. And my mantra has been, give yourself grace, because none of us are, let me say it this way. I think sometimes people present themselves in such a way that it looks like their stuff doesn't stink, but in actuality, we're all kind of figuring it out at the same time. Some of us are just better at hiding it than other people are.
Yeah.
But I also want to point out, though, excuse me, it's not just about the language. Sometimes also foreigners get misunderstood by their different way of doing things, like, so for example, I kind of joke about it, like at the gym, when in like Asian people, I don't know about like Chinese or Japanese, but Korean people, because I'm Korean, when we don't like someone, someone like stare at me, or some creepy guy look at me, I'm like, what do you want? Like, I look at him like, what do you want? That's how Korean people are, like, very aggressive, like, don't look at me, I'm watching you, but here they think I like them or something. So it's like, there's a lot of misunderstanding. So so they're like at workplace or at school, Asian students, they have a distinct, like, maybe behavior patterns or something, but then they get misunderstood. So when they're with, understanding good friends, that's okay. But then sometimes miscommunication, misunderstandings, gets accumulated, and then there's some intolerance. So it also kind of impacts, like, in a bigger sense, at workplace or something that totally, avoidable. But so I really like to, I am in the middle. Sometimes I tell Korean people, like, no, you don't say like that, no, or you don't act like that, even if it doesn't make you feel comfortable, you kind of say this, or kind of change your posture, and just be confident. But for us, being confident is being cocky, and not a good attitude. So sometimes people kind of look down on you, because like, you're kind of like, oh, not like confident. So it's just, I'm in the middle. So I tell Americans, look, Asian people, they're trying to do this, and then to Korean people or Asian people, look, Americans, they're trying to do this, okay? So I'm not the best English speaker, but I know both ways, kind of,
how to navigate both worlds.
Yeah. So it's I try to think of it as a good thing, but sometimes I'm like, it's not easy.
And I think all, like, these conversations are so important, and I love having these type of conversations on this show.
Yes.
What we're gonna do really quick, we're gonna go to a quick sponsored break, but once we come back, I'd love to, if you want to, we can keep going this way and just talk a little bit more, because I think that this is an important conversation that we're having. But let's go to this quick sponsor break, and then we'll be right back after that.
Hello, I'm Dr. Kimberly L. Wilson, also known as Dr. Burnout. You can catch me on Leadership Beyond Burnout on E360 TV on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Vitality Network, where we focus on emerging women leaders and women leaders.
All right, like that, we're back.
Yes.
So if you happen to be joining now, I have two brilliant women that I will be sharing the stage on Sunday at the TEDxCherry Creek Women in Denver, Colorado. And so again, if you are watching this for the very first time, make sure you subscribe, add into the wish list, watch list, whatever it is. I should probably figure out what that is, but it's fine. But what we were talking about before we went to the break was Michelle shared her like why she's on the stage, what she does, and then Crystal was really also sharing her why and why she's going to be on the stage. And we were starting to really talk about the differences in cultures, really, like I guess that's a big general overview, but ultimately I think that it's an important conversation to have, and it's a conversation that I've had on lots of other shows, but I think the more that we can talk about the differences, whether you live in America, whether you live in Europe, whether you wherever you happen to live, right? Going into these different places or living in these different spaces, we can feel really uncomfortable. And when you come to America, we're like, you need to speak English. Like, it's so easy just to like learn the language. And Crystal really talked about how somebody had told her, hey, just go over there, immerse yourself, you'll figure it out. And there are these thoughts that pop into our head like, I'm not good enough, this isn't for me, like there's so many thoughts that go through our head. And I think that is something also that I kind of want to shift to, I think, women in general. Like we have and that's why I love this platform so much, the TEDxCherry Creek Women. Like it is all women speakers. They actually hold a license to only have women. So TED originally, they had to have a mixture of men and women. And then Daphne actually told us that then they came out with women only licenses, and they got one of them. And there's only about 100, I believe she said, in the world for women only stages, which I think is just incredible. I know they also do a youth program, which is, oh my gosh, those kids are phenomenal. Yeah. So it's just really amazing to be able to share the stage with both of you. And I know, like Michelle, you were talking about legacy. Legacy really is one of those things that oftentimes people think monetarily only, but we have to consider everything. And like Crystal was saying, her legacy, this is for her dad. But I'm curious, Michelle, do you want to share a little bit? I mean, of course, we don't want to give away our TEDx, but share a little bit more about that legacy piece, or like what really brought you into wanting to do this?
Yeah, interestingly enough, to go back, when I started down this, when I went to law school, there was no one in the world who would have said, Michelle's going to law school to be an estate planning attorney. That was like way down here somewhere. I was going to do criminal justice work to address some of the inequities in our criminal justice system. But life throws all the different curveballs and everything else at you. And one of my first jobs was working for a financial planning company. And it's interesting when you talk about women and some of the issues that we go through, because statistically, the male will die first, and the female is left trying to figure it all out. And I just remember being this fresh out of college person, barely had a little bit of money to call my own. And I'm counseling people who have lots of assets. And in the majority of cases, these individuals, the women, had no clue about what was going on with their finances. So talk about disempowering. They had to basically, and these are older women who in their minds, they would say, I should know better. But it's like, you know what? It's okay. We're here now, and let's walk through this thing together. And so when I think about my why, and again, as we talk about culture, when you think about people that you associate with wealth, it's usually white, mainly male, and these dynasties, right? So like the Rockefellers or the Carnegies, or, pick a famous name that you've heard, and they have established these empires, so to speak. And they have held the keys to the secrets about what to do and how to do it. But here's the thing. Yes, they had all the money in the world, but were the families still together? How were the family dynamics? And at the end of the day, you can have all the money in the world, and if your family is a hot mess, then that can be a problem, right? And I think so often we get distracted by that. We think, I could buy this and I can buy that and I can have this person, nanny or a cook, a chef, whatever. Yeah, but your family is doing all kinds of craziness. And is that really what you want the foundation of your legacy to look like? So fast forward. I was watching, I watch The View a lot, so shout out to The View. And they were having a conversation. One of the hosts was talking about legacy and generational wealth. And I understood her perspective, but it really just did, like I felt that knife in me, like, that cringy feeling of it's such a focus on the money. And I'm like, we have to, yes, the money is important. Yes, the money has a place, but it's not everything. And it disempowers people to think, oh gosh, this doesn't apply to me because I don't have anything. I barely have money to pay the rent or whatever that may look like. But I want people to know, just like your shirt says, let me see it again, Kelli, love life. Yes. And I want them to know that they should love their life and their life matters, no matter who they are. So whether you are an individual who is, I don't know, just finding yourself, you're in your 20s and trying to figure it out, everything you do, everything you say, every thought that you have, all of that impacts your legacy and what you're going to leave in this world. So my talk doesn't go that deeply. That's a whole nother talk for another day. But the talk that I am going to give just really levels the foundation to say, or the playing grounds to say, we all have something to contribute, no matter who you are, no matter what your station in life is. And I am just so thankful for parents that instilled in me that you are valuable, you are worthy, regardless of how much money is in your bank account, right? We always say that your net worth is not your self-worth. And so we need to start thinking about who we are outside of our stuff, because the stuff will come and go, but who you are at your core, that's going to remain the same for the rest of your life. So who do you want to present yourself out into the world? And there's a quote, and it's on my signature block, and it's by Pericles. I believe he was a Greek philosopher. Don't quote me on that. You all look it up. But basically, what will matter is not what's engraved on your stone, like your headstone, but what you did to make an impact in the world. And I completely butchered the quote, but along those lines of, all this other stuff doesn't matter. What impact did you have on Kelli, on Crystal, on Michelle, on the folks that will be attending the talk, the people that your talk will impact around the world? What impact are you having in a much more broader global scale? So, yeah. Mm.
Yeah, and I would imagine that, especially now with all the social media channels and access to video recordings and all those things, right? There's so much more layers at this point, I'm sure, to legacy, but I love how you look at it as this like overall holistic view. It's not just the money part. It's what else have you contributed, right? Like, are you a mother that had 20 children? I don't know, right?
Yeah,
Like, what is that, right? Or
exactly.
did you go volunteer at XYZ, right? Like, there's so many other things that we can think of about what is this legacy that you're leaving for your family, in addition to hopefully some sort of monetary fashion, but maybe not, right? Like,
Maybe not.
I've met people that are like, I can't take money to the grave,
That's
and
right.
I go spend it, right?
That's right. That's right. And to that point, maybe you're a mother, maybe you're not, right? It doesn't negate who you are as a human being. And we always look at that rocking chair kind of exercise where you're at the end of life. Let's say you're 105, because why not? And you're sitting in that rocking chair reflecting. Do you want people to say, wow, that Kelli, man, she was there for me. She set up this amazing organization that has now impacted people around the globe. And you're smiling like, yeah, I did that. Or is it like, yeah, I sat in this rocking chair, I watched TV all day, and I kept all this goodness inside of me? Because we all have something. None of us came into this world without something to give. So, and not monetary, but of ourselves, right? We all have a special something within us that we need to put out in the world. And so the question always is, what are you doing with your gift? Are you keeping it to yourself, or are you putting it out there in the world to share with others?
Yeah,
So,
I heard that it's almost selfish if you're not sharing your
yes,
gift with people.
exactly.
So you're actually serving other people. So the universe, tests you, put you through a lot of different, hardships, but you went through it, but you really have this thing that you really want to give it to someone,
That's
And, some people, like, I met a lot of great TEDx speakers who went through like trauma, like horrible things, right? And then they tell me that, they're human and they have emotions. Sometimes they really feel like not living anymore, but then I tell them, like, thank you for being here for me, for everybody. You have no idea what you mean, what your life means for everybody. And then I can be that to someone. Sometimes I feel like, oh my God, I just want to disappear. I have that moments. I'm human. I miss my dad. I still wet my pillows every night, think about my dad. And my dad, why did you leave me? This is not fair. But I like, okay, this is legacy. I got to do this. I'm scared to death. I don't like to go outside of the house unless I go to the gym. But like, okay, Dad, I got this. I will do this. You've been working on this for 40 years. I've been working on this 20 years. I reduced it. It was painful into like 12-minute format, but I'm out there. I'm gonna do this. So it's really empowering as well, as you kind of realize that, oh, I can do this for other people. This is my purpose, right? We're all on our mission to serve people. So before you find your purpose, just your life really feels unfulfilled and meaningless, right? So it's really powerful, really,
That's
really powerful.
And I will say this, Kelli, just as you talked so much about the women who were on the show on Monday, Crystal and I today, and all the other folks that, people will have to watch it on Sunday and when the videos come out. But I will say that every single person I have gleaned some information from. And that's the beautiful thing, because we get to a point in life and you think, I know this. I don't. No, I have no doubt that if you listen to every single person on that stage, whether you're live or you go back to it at a later date, you will glean some information that you can apply into your life in some capacity or share with someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing that we all are increasing awareness.
Yeah.
Something that you like kind of know already, but I talk like yourself, like talk about like, hey, there's a hidden process that the typical language instruction is not talking about, intentionally, unintentionally, and that's not right. That's what I'm saying. But then you need to actually have this awareness first. Then we can change something. So, even if they're talking about a lot of different topics, it's all about, oh wow, I didn't think of it that way. That's true, and oh wow, like something very deeper, we're all kind of lacking fundamental things, but then it's all related, like, oh, it's really about, yeah, like the getting to the core issues, you know?
That's right.
Yeah. And we were kind of joking on Monday, because I forgot who it was, but they're like, I don't know, I might walk on stage and puke. And I was like, I'm like, yeah, I mean, the reason why you want to come and
Mhm.
experience the
That's right.
whole day is because you might see those moments. You might
That's
see
right.
somebody go out on stage and puke. I don't know, but you will only see that if you happen to be in the audience, because they will cut that out in the actual videos.
But what doesn't kill you makes you only stronger, right?
Yes, yes. And we
You
should have theme music. I would like some theme music to come out on the stage. Yes.
right, yeah. So
Like the
we're
eye
putting
of the
ourselves
tiger.
out there and do it, and that's gonna only make you stronger.
Yes,
Stepping out of
Absolutely.
our comfort zone. That's the
Mhm.
only way to grow.
Yeah. I know, so I want to show the link. I know this is where you can go if you have not gotten your tickets
Yeah.
for Sunday's event. It is a full day event. You get lunch, you get to hear all of the speakers. I know I've had a couple people that said, well, what time do you go on? And I've told them, but it's
Yeah.
still like one of those things that you really should come all day and have the experience, because just like we have all been going through the training, we've learned.
I have no doubt she's going to come right back.
Right.
I'm like, freezing. Yeah. Of course it would happen. But yeah, it's fine.
Mhm.
But if you haven't ever experienced a TEDx event, I would highly recommend that you grab your ticket if you happen to be in Denver, Colorado, and come experience all the incredible women that are going to be on stage. I am curious, for when you were going to prep to apply,
Mhm.
what was, I mean, I know personally, so I have applied 3 years in a row. I also have volunteered for Cherry Creek Women and the youth.
Mhm.
And this year, the first year I like threw it in and I was like, I can land this. And then it was horrible. The second year I put a lot more effort into it and I was like, this is really good. And I did much better. It just didn't fit with the theme. And then this year I decided that I was going to take Michael up on his, they'll like actually train you if you're part of the Cherry Creek Women volunteers.
Mhm.
So they give you extra training. That's what this community is, just incredible. Definitely become part of the family. But I took them up on going to the trainings. I also sat down with Michael, gave him like some things that I could talk about. And of course, he picks the one that I don't talk about all the time. So this one expands my knowledge quite a bit. So I'm just curious, like, what has that journey been like for you getting on stage?
Yeah.
For me, I've been preparing a TEDx talk for like ever, like 3 years here and there. But then I actually joined this program, coaching, like applying and the talk practicing and everything. So they kind of advertise. I somehow found them on Instagram, and then I said, I'll give it a try. And I never thought I was gonna land a talk, but I actually, from the moment until I landed a talk, it took 6 weeks. So I became a legend in this program because I quit everything. I stayed home literally. I spent 10 to 12 hours every day. And I applied like 60, it was 67th. And then I got a call from the TEDx Cherry Creek. And but all I did was just like writing and writing and writing and then applying. But as I was applying, I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna land. But then after like 30th, and I'm like, you know what? It's actually crafting my keynote.
Mhm.
It was kind of, I was getting better and better as I'm, answering all these different questions or similar, or making 1 minute video, 90 second, 2 minute, 3 minute. It was all prepping me. But I still feel surreal. Like, what? That is actually happening. So I was so thrilled, like got picked, and I'm the only Asian American woman, and I feel very, like chosen, and I'm also not from Colorado, because I know that they have tendency to pick someone within the community, right? So I'm like, how did this happen? So I think it's just my dad helping me, like, hey, but yeah, so that's been my journey. But again, I actually start working on my TED Talk like June. So now it's almost like it's November today. So it was very hectic, but very, very transformational journey for me.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I am a born procrastinator. Let me just start that off. And I actually applied before the pandemic, just pick a year before the pandemic, and it wasn't accepted. And so you get in your feelings a little bit and you're like, but this has always been a bucket list item for me. And so a friend said, Michelle, they're opening up the application process again. I'm like, all right. And I had every intent to get it done very quickly, and life happened. And I promise you, it was the last day or maybe the day before. And I was like, oh crap, you're either doing it or I don't want to hear you talk about you want to do a TED Talk. So I got it in and I just did it, didn't think more about it, and just went on with my world. But the fun part is I'm a big believer in, visioning and putting things out there. And so they had the dates on the application, like if you get accepted, the first date, blah, blah, blah. That first date was my birthday. So the first date that we met, August 5th, it was a virtual kind of thing. And I'm like, and I had put it on my calendar already. I said, this is going to be my first training. And I had November 5th on my calendar to say, this is going to be when you do the TEDx talk. So I just put it out there. I will say that when I found out, I was in, I think DC. So I was coming back from my family reunion and my kids were checking their luggage. And I just happened to go on my phone just to look through whatever. And I see this email. And, you think about college acceptances or any kind of acceptance letter. If it's a thick package, you're like, ooh, I'm in. And if it's thin, but with an email, you just don't know. And it said, congratulations. And I'm like, oh, and I promise you, I started crying. My eyeballs started sweating in the airport. And my kids are like, what in the world? And I called one of my good friends who was a former TEDxCherry Creek speaker. And the two of us just hooted and hollered, me in the airport, her in her home. And yeah, so I say this to say to someone who may be like, oh, I applied and I didn't get in. Don't let that stop you. If this is a dream that's on your heart, then keep going. Rejection just prepares you for the next level. And the other piece is I've been trying, because people are like, oh, are you excited? And like, I've been so crazy with just life. I haven't had a chance to think about all the different components. But this week I said, I'm going to give myself permission to actually get excited about this. So yeah, I'm trying to get more grounded and more focused. But here we are.
I know.
You got this.
Three or
we can do it.
Yes.
We can. And it's going to be so amazing. I love that it was brought up here. Also, we talked about it on Monday, is that one of the things that Daphne says is that whatever happens to come out of your mouth on Sunday is going to be perfect. So I am so thankful that I got a chance to bring you incredible women onto the show and also step on the stage with you on Sunday, but I'll see you guys on Friday also. So we have come to the end of the show, but I am so grateful. And I think the conversation that we went into is such an important conversation. And maybe at a later time, I'll bring all of you back and we can share how it went, what the experience was actually like, and then just even go into more in depth on your stories, because we didn't want to give away too many secrets this time, but definitely wanted to get a chance. And those of you, if you want to go, there are still tickets available, not very many. So go get them now if you want to be in the audience sharing this journey with all the incredible women that will be on stage that day. So thank you
Come
so
and
much.
See us in person. Thank you so much.
Yes. And for those in Colorado, it's going to be nice weather. And even if you're traveling, it's going to be nice weather.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is. Well, thank
See
you,
you, ladies,
Crystal. Thank you,
Friday.
Michelle. I
Thank
appreciate
you,
it.
Kelly. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Kelly. Thank
Crystal.
you. Bye.
Of course. All right. That was another amazing episode of Make Mental Health Matter. I am telling you, all of the women that are on the stage this Sunday, November 5th in Denver, Colorado, it's the Elaine Wolf Theater. And we again have about 19 total women that will be on the stage that day. It is a whole day experience. It starts, or doors open at 9 a.m. Speeches start at 10. Lunch is about 12 to 1:30, and then session 2 starts 1:30 and goes till about 4 o'clock. So again, the time goes by so fast. I have volunteered at this specific event for the last 2 years, and the time flies by, and all the women that are on stage are incredible, including myself, right? I gotta, like Michelle says, give yourself some grace and allow to have that excitement come up. But we're only a few days away. So I am blessed that I was able to bring some of them on Monday and then a couple of them on today's show. No matter what you do, make sure you join me. I will be back next Monday at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. And then again, I always go live Mondays and Wednesdays. And again, I'm going to share this link one more time if I can get it up. But that is where you can go to get a ticket if you want to be in the audience watching us and supporting through this journey. No matter what, I'll let you know once all of the videos are out, and you can go and help us share and spread our ideas. No matter what you do, come back next week. See y'all then.